minimalism was the name of that music because it kind of reduced all the abstract language of music to the simplest musical elements that we had been familiar with, to a very simple rhythm, harmony, counterpoint. And then what happened, that was about 20 years ago. What happened is that that generation of composers who were 28, 29, 30 then are now getting to be 50. And what happened, a lot of the elements that got thrown out of music are now back in it. The music is very lush again. The orchestrations are very full. The harmonic language is very emotional. So that when we say, well, minimalism is over, because you see, it was in a certain way, it was a statement that was made in the 60s, and all we really meant to do was get rid of all that other music, which we didn't really do, but in the end, it doesn't turn out to have been really necessary to do that. Now what we have is a very diverse new music world, experimental music. It goes everywhere from people that experiment with electronic and popular music to people who write computer music that can be very abstract and may only have a small audience. But the range of new music is much greater now than it was 20 years ago. And I think that's been a better thing for everybody.
Perhaps the most widely heard, if not widely known piece of Philip Glass music was the opening theme for the 1984 Olympics. But is it minimalism or New Age? I asked Philip what his definition of New Age is.
We've always had this kind of music. We called it, when I was a young guy, we used to call it mood music. And it was things like Mantovani and I worked in my father's orchestra when I was a kid, and I always could tell the mood music because it usually had a lady in an evening dress holding a book with a candle, and it was music to study by, music to eat dinner by, music to talk to your friends by, music to sleep by. It was all kinds of music. And we called it mood music. And I'll tell you about mood music, it's always sold a lot. I mean, working in the store, I can tell you, we sold boxes and boxes of this stuff, which we thought was junk. We thought it was junk then, I guess I still do, really. But this music, I don't think it was meant to be taken too seriously. It was music to create a particular, or to fit with a particular, very ordinary activity like eating dinner. It wasn't supposed to distract you very much. You weren't really supposed to listen to it. It was kind of to, well, like the lights, like the lighting, or like maybe putting flowers on the table.
So it's like mood music for yuppies.
Well, yuppies is, it's gotten to be such a derogatory word, but the answer is yes.
I've read that you were picked to do the sound of this film because you have a sense of balance and a rhythm and harmony. And yet this whole film is about being out of balance with life.
Well, that's the subtitle of the film, that's true. I'd worked a lot in the theater in these large-scale music pieces like Einstein on the Beach and or ballet scores. I think he needed somebody who had that sense of scale, because the film has that. Apart from what it may be about on the inside, the film had to accomplish its purpose of being comprehensible and communicative without any dialogue, without any actors. All we had was pictures and music, which is actually a lot. But that meant that the structure, in other words, how you knew you were in the middle or the beginning or the end of the film, a lot of that had to come from the music.
Why have live music going on in front of visual images that are set? Why not just do a soundtrack?
What we discovered is that the emotional power of the music when played live with the film is just increased immeasurably, really, so that the impact of the film with the live music is just much greater. Now, we weren't really sure that was going to happen, though we had suspicions of that. There had been a couple live music films. There's this Napoleon one, the Emil Gance one, and, in the old days of silent movies, that's what people did. I mean, the guy with the piano. But then, in some places, they would have orchestras. But of course, that hasn't been around, I guess, for more than 50 years. The Napoleon film was brought back and traveled around North America and Europe in the early 80s, and I had seen it. And I was impressed with it, and I thought, well, if you could ever do a live music film, this would be the one, because we don't have any actors, any dialogue. We have really almost no sound effects either, so the music score could really be done live without losing anything and really adding something.